Are you looking for a character that can help you clear the entire campaign? Are you looking for something to push you knee deep into the end game? Are you looking for something that just completely decimates and dominates everything and just pushes through content like a hot knife through butter? Do you like traps? Did you play an assassin in D2? Do you just like spinning blades of Blade Vortex? Well, let me talk to you today about playing a rogue. Now, the rogue build that I'm going to showcase to you that's playing in the background right now comes from the great mind of Wudijo. Sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, my apologies. And he's done a great job of demonstrating and showcasing just how to play this game. Now, if you've been following D4 or watching any of the early release, you've seen that he's been pretty much kicking butt the entire way with this rogue. And this rogue is everything to the hype that you're led up to believe. It's wild. It's crazy. Currently, I'm level 58. You see in the video playing now that I'm clearing World Tier 4, and the Rogue just lives up to everything that ARPGs live up to. As a kid, I loved D2. I've loved just Diablo in general. I love ARPGs. I'm pretty huge in the Path of Exile, and D2 or D4. This game reminds me a lot of D2. It's striking a lot of the right chords and just hitting everything great. Now, I feel so thrilled to have you guys here to let me create just ARPG content for you guys, and I look forward to making more. But for now, let's talk about the Rogue. The Rogue is slick, it's quick, it's fast, it does a lot of damage, it's bursty. It's got, you'll see in the video that it explodes a couple of times, but it can push content just as well as every other class. It can push content ahead of the curve, and it can pretty much kick a lot of butt. Now, if you're wondering how to set up your rogue, where to build your rogue, how to do what you're watching now, I'm going to walk you through all of that. So we'll just kind of kick over to my character. Essentially, the rogue, you're going to be playing Twisting Blades, or Blade Vortex, or Spinning Knives of Doom. Pretty much, if you're playing Path of Exile, it's the Shattering Steel Blade Vortex. And if you're playing other games, it's just Exploding Knives. You're going to be utilizing them with traps, and you saw very often that I was able to lay down traps and reset traps. We're going to be using a Poison Trap. We're going to be using a Death Trap. We're going to be using dashes and dodges, and we're going to be using a damage reduction spell. Now, in the description down below, you're going to find a link to the build description. You'll find a link to also to Wudijo's stream, so you can check it out live. You'll find a link to my stream if you want to come by and watch me play it live as well. But essentially, the build is pretty simple and pretty straightforward. Right from the beginning, right as soon as we start playing, we're presented with the Atlas tree, or the passive skill tree. A lot of PoE in my life. And we're going to start off by, we're going to be taking Puncture. Puncture is an ability that lets us throw 3 short blades in front of us. We're going to take Enhanced Puncture and Fundamental Puncture so that our blades...
Not in town.
Oh, I guess I can't show you here. But when we go into the dungeon, it'll show you how it works. Essentially, we throw out 3 blades in front of us that attack a bunch of enemies, slow them all down, and pretty much just hit everything in front of us.
Not in
Oh
town.
my god, that's not the exit of town! Embarrassing. Okay, wait, this is the exit of town. We should be able to do it over here. Oh, man. Well, that was a loading screen. That was a loading screen. Can we do things? So there you go. Pretty much, we start with the skill, and we play with the skill the entire way. And eventually, as we level up, we're going to get to our Twisted Blades. Our Twisted Blades, as you see, is the blade skill that revolves around us. And it pretty much does a lot of damage as it rips out of the enemy, finds us, and follows us around. Pretty much acts like a shield, but not a shield, but extra damage. Now, Twisting Blades is very strong. It is very powerful. It does the job, and it pretty much carries us the whole way. So we get Twisting Blades pretty early. I think like level 3 or 4. We get it right away, and we can start putting points into it and developing it. Now, I take Twisting Blades. I take the Enhanced Twisting Blades so that when the blades return, they deal 30% increased damage. And we're going to take our Twisting Blades. When they return, they reduce the cooldown by 0.1 second per enemy pass through up to 2 seconds. So every time that blade spins and that blade hits an enemy, we gain CDR, or cooldown reduction. This is what allows us to spam all of our spells and abilities as fast as possible. This was recently nerfed as of like 24 hours ago. Or probably later if you're watching this video in the future. And it still is just an amazing ability. It's still very, very, very strong. Now we take Sturdy for damage reduction. We take Siphoning Strikes to gain our life back. We're We're going to take Shadow Step so that we can become unstoppable and that we can just move enemy to enemy and we can clear our debuffs and we can clear our crowd control. We're going to combine that with Enhanced Shadow Step, which gives us more critical strike chance. And we're going to do it with Methodical Shadow Step so that our enemies damaged by Shadow Step are stunned. So pretty much the combo goes like this. We leave town, we attack with Twisting Blades, we Shadow Step, we stun them, we become immune, we hit them a whole bunch, Twisting Blades rips out of them, it spins around us, it hits them a whole bunch of times, our cooldowns get less and less and less and less, we drop a bunch of traps, and pretty much you just rinse and repeat that. The cycle is pretty simple and pretty easy and straightforward. Now, going down the line, we're going to take some concussive so that after we knock down an enemy, we get critical strike chance. We're always knocking down enemies with our traps. We're going to be taking rapid gambit, so your evade cooldown is reduced by 0.5 seconds every time you daze an enemy. We daze enemies all the time with all of our abilities, so pretty much we always have our evade up and we can just hop all around. And we're going to get critical strike. When you critically strike a dazed enemy, they're knocked down. So we're going to set our traps. We're going to knock them down. We're going to daze them. We're going to knock them down. We're going to reduce our cooldowns. We're going to knock them down. We're going to just poison them. We're going to knock them down. And pretty much you see the trend is we're going to deal a lot of damage. We're going to knock a bunch of things down, and we're going to poison them really well. We're going to take our poison trap. We're going to place a trap on the ground. The poison trap's going to deal 12,700 or 11,547 damage. That'll go up as we get more gear. And we take Enhanced Poison Trap. So Poison Trap knocks down the enemy for 1.55 seconds when it's activated. Drop a trap, place it, trap explodes, knock down the enemy, 1.5 seconds to gain all those buffs and all those cool attributes, and pretty much just go to town on the enemy. Now, also in this wheel, we're going to take Dark Shroud. Dark Shroud also recently nerfed, but as you see in the video, you're still pretty tanky. But this might have a big impact later on in higher tier Nightmare dungeons. Dark Shroud is going to surround us with 5 protective shadows. We're going to gain 8% damage reduction per active shadow. 5 shadows times 8 is 40% damage reduction. Each time you take direct damage, that damage reduction is reduced and a shadow is consumed. This is on an 18-second cooldown. Twisting Blades, hit a bunch of enemies get hit, bunch of cooldowns, CDR. Dark Shadows is always up. There's a theme, a running theme here. Twisting Blade, hit enemy, CDR, live forever. Enhanced Dark Shroud says there's a 10% chance for Dark Shroud to not be consumed, which 10% is pretty good. And each active shadow from Dark Shroud grants us movement speed. So we want to be able to move around a lot. The real big point of this build is to stab and run and let our Twisting Blades pull out of the enemy, return to us, and deal damage. Now, we know that's a thing because Twisting Blade says impale an enemy, deal a bunch of damage. They take increased damage, and then after 1.5 seconds, that blade is pulled out of the enemy, shoots back to us, and then spins around us. Now, I know the spin around us. I'm going to talk about that in a minute, but let's finish going over the passive skill tree. So, moving on down, we're going to be taking Deadly Venom so that we increase our poison damage, and this also allows us to deal debilitating toxins. Poison enemies deal 15% less damage. As you move through the game and you progress through the acts and you up your world tier, the enemies are going to hit a lot harder. So we just want to have ways to debuff them. And because we always have our CDR, or because we have such high CDR and we always have our cooldowns up, we're always dropping traps, we're always poisoning the enemies, and the enemies pretty much just deal 15% less damage pretty much permanently as long as, air quotes, star asterisks, they've touched the toxins. We're also getting attack speed up to 15%. Per enemy we've poisoned. This caps out at 15%. We don't really want to put more than 1 point. We poison a bunch of things. We get a bunch of free attack speed. Moving on over to our ultimate, we're going to take Death Trap. Death Trap is the big purple explosion that you've seen me place. So just to show you guys, moving on out of town. That's our Poison Trap. That's our Death Trap. And you can see just how big of a size difference this is. And you notice we have a 42 seconds cooldown on Death Trap. But if I just find a couple of enemies and I hit them with Whirling Blades, and then my Whirling Blade just goes around and hits a bunch of enemies, you'll see that cooldown is coming down pretty quick. And we go from having a huge cooldown to the next thing you know, it's pretty much back up again. Now, before the nerf, this was pretty much up 24/7, but post nerf, it's up a lot. And you'll see at the end of this video, I'll play a video and you guys will see what a dungeon looks like and how often it's actually up and the cons and the pluses and minuses of the build. Also, if you really like D4 videos, you should like totally hit the comment button and subscribe button and notification bell and all that cool stuff so I know to keep making content. Anyways, moving on. We're going to take our trap mastery so that when a poison trap or death trap activates, we gain critical strike, chance against vulnerable and crowd control enemies. So we just get a ton of extra bonus. Yeah, oh, I just unspacked that on accident. We're going to take innovation. So we have a 30% chance to gain 8 energy back. So every time we hit a mob, there's a 30% chance to gain energy back. We attack really fast, so we pretty much always have our energy. We take aftermath so that after we use an ultimate skill, we restore 50 energy. You'll see that we are able to place our death trap quite often, and placing our death trap will just give us free energy just to let us keep beating on the enemy. Adrenaline rush. So we gain 5% increased energy regeneration while we're moving. We're always moving. We're always placing traps. We're hit and run. So we're just always gaining energy. And then we're going to take haste so that while we're at or above 50% maximum energy, we gain movement speed. While we're below 50% energy, we gain increased attack speed. So at high energy, move really quick. At low energy, attack really quick. Pretty simple and straightforward. And lastly, we're going to take exposure, so dealing direct damage to an enemy affected by your trap skill has a 25% chance to reduce the active cooldown of your trap by 20%. We're also going to drop a cluster of exploding stun grenades that stun the enemy, so we pretty much have CDR on top of CDR, on top of stun, on top of knockdown, on top of stun, on top of knockdown. That's essentially the build, and you know, as you see, it's been working out for me really well. I've managed to go through the whole campaign, the whole story. I've pushed all the world tiers, and now I'm pushing really deep into Endgame, or attempting to push deep into Endgame, and it's going fairly well. So the build itself, the idea is buff ourselves with Dark Shroud, jump onto an enemy, do a couple of Whirling Blades, run to the next enemy, do a couple of Whirling Blades. Our Whirling Blades begins to tick. We drop our traps poison the enemy, and then we just kind of like keep moving along with that same pattern. Run, find the enemy, stab it a bunch of times, get some Whirling Blades, drop some traps, and pretty much just keep moving forward. Now you'll see I make pretty quick work of these guys in World Tier 4, and you'll notice that the Wayward Plains is level 73 plus. I'm level 58. I'm way below level, and it's still doing really well. Now, when I'm done recording this video and I go back to farming, I won't lie to you guys. I'll kick it down to World Stone 3. I'll probably push levels a little bit. I'll get to about 64, 65, and then I'll kick it back up to World Tier 4, and I'll continue farming. Pending. Maybe I stay in 4. I don't know yet. We'll see. Now, going forward with the Rogue. One thing that I'll say is the Rogue is very dependent on aspects. If you don't know what an aspect is, let me explain. An aspect, or a legendary enhancement, I think they're called, is something that you get from 2 places. 1, you get them out of dungeons, and 2, you get them from extracting them out of legendary gear. Now, you'll notice on Demon's Wake, this dungeon will have the ability to unlock the aspect of Uncanny Treachery. This is a rogue-only one. This one says dealing direct damage to a dazed enemy with an agile agility skill grants us stealth. Essentially, what it means is the first time we clear this dungeon, we'll unlock this aspect. This aspect, if I press Y, will go into my Codex of Power. My Codex of Power will have a bunch of different aspects for all different classes, and pretty much these are what we're going to use to put on our gear. Now, not every aspect in the game will be in the Codex of Power. You'll have to find them from drops, but a large majority of the ones that we're going to need and the ones that we're going to use for this build, we can get out of dungeons. One of the big important ones that we're going to be using is the Twisted Blades aspect. Essentially, that one says, where is it? Twisting Blades orbits you for a short time after they return to you, dealing 10% of Twisting Blades return damage per hit based on the distance the blade returned. The orbit damage increases up to 20% of the return damage. So the further away you are, the further it travels, the more damage it does, and it just spins around you and deals damage. This we get at Ajala's Vigil, which is in Skazglen, which is in Act 2. Now, if you don't have this unlocked, you can left-click this on your Codex of Power. It'll set a little tracking marker for you. And pretty much that tracking marker will look like this, where it just has a line that teaches you where Skazglen is and where the dungeon is. Now, this dungeon is unlocked in Act 2. So as soon as you get to Act 2 and you start doing some quests, you'll know you're pretty close because you'll start following a dude. No spoilers. That'll lead you into this little red area. There's some things, they go rawr. There's some other things, they go ooh. And there's some things that go holy cannolis. When all that starts happening and you're in this area, you'll know right away that you're really close to unlocking the dungeon. If your rogue is going to be your alt, you'll probably already have the dungeon unlocked, so you can just go into the dungeon, clear the dungeon, get the aspect, and throw it on a piece of gear to get rolling. I really recommend throwing it on a piece of jewelry as your drill river won't be replaced very often, and you'll pretty much keep it around for a long period of time, and you don't have to spend the extra resources. Now, another really good one that you guys should keep an eye out for is Aspect of the Expectant. And attacking enemies with a basic skill increases the damage of your next core skill by 5% up to 30. Pretty much we left click, we throw our puncture, we throw our little blades, we do it a couple of times, and then our next twisting blade just deals a whole metric ton of damage. Once again, I suggest putting this on a piece of jewelry, as it'll be something that just lasts you a while. Now, if this is your first character and the first time you're going through the campaign, I really recommend just enjoying the story and taking your time. Twisting blades without... Where is it? It's on my bow, right? I have it on my bow. I found it. We'll talk about that in a second. Twisting blades without the circling aspect on you is still really strong in the early acts, and really strong until you unlock it. Now, I really recommend making a beeline as a rogue to unlocking the skill as itself, because you'll see I stab, and then it rips out and it comes to me, and it just doesn't hover around the enemy. So it's a lot less damage overall, but it's still really strong. The big difference between having the skill be able to orbit you versus not orbiting you is you have to line up the direction at which the skill fires and comes back to you. Now, I know that's a little bit more of a pain in the butt. A lot of people don't want to have to think, and a lot of people really just want to have it spin and orbit and kill everything. And you get there pretty quick. Maybe like an hour into the game, you'll have that ability. Maybe a little less, depending on how you do things. I was told that you don't have to go through the acts in order, so you can just pretty much start your rogue, go straight to Act 2, cross your fingers, close your eyes, and just progress through it until you get it. Now, things that are really important for the rogue. Stats are really, really, really important. So if you haven't done them, I highly suggest you go around the world and you work on your renown. As you'll see, I have Fractured Peaks fully done. I have Skosglen fully done. I'm working on the Dry Steps right now. These extra skill points, these extra potions, these extra Paragon points are very, 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 very important to making sure that your character is up to par and strong enough to be able to clear all the content. Also, throughout the world, there's going to be statues of Lilith. They're very important as well. You want to make sure you go find them. I will provide you guys in the description down below a link to an interactive map that I've been using, where I can just set it up, click on the ones that I have found already, and just kind of go around the world and just kind of interact and highlight dungeons that I have and haven't done, and be able to track things through the different zones. This interactive map has saved my butt a lot. It's helped me get through pretty much all of the horizontal content, and it's been pretty good. D4 is very horizontal versus very vertical, meaning that we get a lot of our power by doing stuff in the world. Don't look past the Lilith statues. Don't look past the renown. Every time you get a point of dex, or every time you click a statue, your character will get more and more powerful. Gear is good. Stats are great. Just a little FYI. I know a lot of people from stream, they overlook their statues, they overlook their renown, and they wonder why their character's not as strong. And it's because I've been putting a lot of time in the horizontal content, and I really recommend that you guys do the same. Now, for my rogue, I have basic skills grant 20% damage reduction for 6 seconds. I socket a ruby into my helmet. I was recommended from Wudijo to put topazes in all of my armor. I don't know if I'm going to keep it as topazes. I'm pretty sure that'll change. My chest plate has damaging an elite enemy, grants me a barrier that absorbs 2,000 life. This is really good. Dealing direct damage to a vulnerable enemy has a 43% chance to daze them. Also really powerful. You gain 0.3% increased armor for 4 seconds when you deal any form of damage, stacking up to 30%. Pretty much this says anytime I deal damage, I get a bunch of armor. My armor stacks up. I get 30%. And this one's really powerful. And just to show you guys, this one you can get out of Halls of the Damned in Kajistan. So a lot of these aspects that you're seeing on my gear, a lot of them are available for you to just go out and get. Basic skills grant 20% damage reduction for 2 seconds. We get this in the Dry Steps. Damaging an elite enemy grants you a barrier. Now note, when you use these abilities from the Codex of Power, they are the lowest possible roll. For example, damaging an enemy grants you a barrier up to 1437. If I were to look at my armor grants a barrier for 2000. When you progress through the game and you go through the story, you'll drop unique items or legendary items. These will have aspects on them, And those aspects can be extracted. And when you extract those aspects, you can put them on other pieces of gear and pretty much make them more powerful. To extract an aspect, it's really simple. We come over to the guy over here, the little occultist guy. We put in the item we want to extract. And the extracting thing, it rips out the item, it gives it to us, and then we just have it. And it's pretty good. Now, I'm not going to extract anything in this video. I'm not going to go over how to do all that because that's for a different video for another time. As far as the Paragon goes, I'm not very deep into the Paragon. There are a lot of guides about the Paragon points. I can only give you Paragon for what I've spent. As I figure it out and get deeper into the in-game, I'll do a follow-up video on this. I know it's not everything ideal, but this is pretty much just how you're going to get through the story, how you're going to start scaling the world tier. And if you want to keep up and follow along with me and see how I'm upgrading my character, feel free to stop by my stream, shoot me a comment down below, and I'll make sure to get my D2 planner. Is that what it's called? D4 planner? My D4 builds planner up to date with my Paragon as I put them in and constantly update this video or the next video. So for now, I encourage you guys to go out and give Rogue a try. I encourage you guys to just see if you like it. D4 is a lot of fun. I think it's a really good step in the ARPG world. I look forward to playing more of it in other games in the same category. But if you want, hang out. I'm going to be showcasing the video of the Rogue at the end of this now. And just keep in mind, when you watch that video, it does die. I do blow up. I am level 58 in a 73 dungeon. And if you just want to see and showcase the power of a Rogue and content that it shouldn't be doing, then hang around and give it a watch. For now, if you found this video useful, enjoyable, helpful, or anything, don't forget to leave a like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. It means the world to me and it helps a lot. I'm going to get this video out to you guys and get this all set up. For now, so long, farewell, and Vita saying good luck on your D4 adventures, friends.
My savior! I'm not ready yet. Ready yet. I'm not ready yet. ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet.
Wouldn't have made it without you.
I need more time. I need more time. I need more time. I need more time. I'm not ready yet. Bless you. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet.
Wouldn't have made it without you.
I need more energy, more time. I'm not ready yet. I need more energy. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I need more time. I need more time. I'm not ready yet. I need more energy. I need more time. I'm not ready yet. I need more time. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I need more time. I need more time. I need more time. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm out of energy. Ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I'm not ready yet. I need more time. I need more time. I'm not ready yet. Energy. I need more time. I'm not ready yet.